Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's Tuesday here. I'm looking forward to reading this next article to you. I wrote it in August of 2020, so we were all in the middle of COVID. And it's about finding contentment and creativity. And let's say it's also about finding hope. It's about the nature of thought, it's about what's true regarding thought for all of us. It's about looking inside. And when I say looking inside, I don't mean just below the surface. I mean really looking deep and seeing the spiritual nature of what lives before, the formless before the form, where the form comes from, where our thoughts come from, where our inspirations come from, where hope comes from, and where hope lives, even when we think we might not have it. So I'm going to post the link to this article in the notes for this video, and I hope you enjoy it. So it's called Finding Contentment and Creativity During Social Isolation. And I guess I'm going to rename it Finding Contentment and Creativity at any time, on any day. Can the nature of hope and possibility help us find that good feeling? And again, this was written on August 3rd of 2020. I heard two very different stories this week that got me thinking about the nature of hope, the nature of possibility, and where we find that thing we call feeling good, that stuff we call feeling good. The first was a story on the Today Show about musician Ryan Tedder. Ryan was touring with his band in Europe as COVID was beginning to take hold of the world. He got on a plane to fly home, and upon landing, his phone rang. It was a call from a band member and friend that he'd been traveling with, telling Ryan that his friend had just tested positive for COVID. So Ryan had been heading home to be with his family, and instead he had to go into a 2-week quarantine. He moved into his studio / Airstream trailer and went into isolation. This story was about the creativity and optimism that was coming out of Ryan's trailer in the form of new songs and funny videos. It was a story of optimism, hope, creativity, and possibility. The second story was from a newspaper. It was a story in the newspaper about a woman who was socially isolating at home. She lives alone and suffers from depression. The story talked about her struggles around being able to do the things that she usually does to stay out of depression. The fact that she can't go to the gym, out with her friends, or out to restaurants. So, what's the difference between these two experiences? And is there something to see here that can bring hope to those who are feeling lonely and sad? So, first, my disclaimer. Before you get defensive, I know that there are biological, or there can be biological differences in individuals that suffer from depression. My hope in writing this is not to minimize anyone's suffering or to suggest that they're doing anything wrong. I'm just wondering what we can learn from those who feel good about being alone. And I'm just going to kind of insert a thought here because I've been doing some reading recently about those biological differences. And there's a lot of question about whether the differences in biology in someone who has depression were there first or came from the depression itself. So I'll leave that for another day, but I think that's a very powerful thing to ponder. So going back into the article, can it suggest a glimmer of possibility for those who don't? Looking within, I heard a friend and colleague the other day talk about her own discomfort while she was suffering from anxiety with the suggestion of looking within. What she said was that when she looked within, all that she found was her anxiety, and that didn't help. It wasn't until she saw a space within that was even deeper. As she described it, a space that holds all of us, a deep, spiritual, universal energy. We can see this universal energy all around us, especially in the spring. When I look outside, I can see new green leaves peeking out of the tree branches. How do they know how to do that? There are 2 bird nests in my yard. So cool. How do they know how to do that? And the pink dogwood trees in my backyard always know how to bloom pink dogwoods in the spring. They never bloom daisies. They never even bloom white dogwoods. Oh, and by the way, your heart beats without you ever needing to think about it, as does the blood know how to flow through your body. What incredible wisdom lives inside of all of us and around all of us. So what I've come to see is that this level of wisdom is available to each and every one of us, every day, all the time. It is the wisdom that we were born with that gave us the inspiration to learn to crawl and walk. This wisdom brings new ideas and is always available to us when we look deeper than our personal thinking. That said, I know we can't choose the thoughts that show up in our heads, but we can choose whether to give them significance, and we can always go looking for new thought, or just let the thought pass because thought always passes and new thoughts always show up. My hope for you. The story I read in the newspaper about the woman feeling sad at home shows how our thinking can affect our experience. And in contrast, Ryan Tedder's thinking is bringing him a wealth of creativity and possibility. So here's my hope for each and every one of us. Take a minute. Notice that your experience is coming from your thinking, and that no matter how much it seems like it, your thinking is not coming from your experience. And in that moment of noticing, look inside, deep inside, even deeper, past the thinking to the space before thought. This is the space of possibility. This is the space of love. And when you feel it, stay there as long as you can. Feel it in every corner of your being, in your skin and in your bones. And there, you may just find some hope. Thanks for listening today. If you hit subscribe and the bell for notifications, you'll get all my new recordings as they come out. Thanks for being here. Take care.